Over the weekend, a new social media campaign went viral in response to the sexual harassment allegations against Alabama politician Roy Moore. Daily Show co-creator Liz Winstead tweeted a picture of herself at age 14 to drive home the image of who 14-year-old girls really are, what they really look like, and encouraged other women to do the same. I tweeted a picture of myself at age 14 writing, "I was a student athlete. I was not dating a 32-year-old man. I ran track and field, studied hard, read biographies and Judy Blume, giggled with my friends, listened to Michael Jackson records, watched The Bionic Woman and Gilligan's Island." Journalist Joy Reid added, "The me at 14 thread that Liz created is powerful indeed. 14-year-olds are children, not dating material for 30-something-year-old men." But all too often, Black women and girls are left out of the national conversation when it comes to issues of racial and social justice and equality. Joining me in the studio is Barbara Arnwine, the president and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us this morning. When I saw the social media campaign yesterday, I jumped in right away. I think it is such a powerful tool. I'm sure you saw the earlier segment when I was speaking with Victoria, and her face and my face at the thought of tax legislation being more important to some voters and politicians than the reality of what it is for a man to be involved with a 14-year-old she's a little girl. She was a little girl. Absolutely nothing to gain from telling her story.
Well, listen, this whole story is an indictment. It's an indictment of not only the men who would engage in such a practice, but it's an indictment of our society and all the excuses that people have been making. The Mary and Joseph, story. Oh my goodness, and all the perversions of not only the Bible, but all this distortion. The reality is that 14-year-old girls are basically innocent. We're sitting around at 14. I remember what I was doing at 14. I had to go to the junior prom. I couldn't find one dress that fit me because I was a little, little stalk and straight up and down. And I remember having to stuff my little bra, trying to fit the little dress, And I just, listen. When you're 14, you are still in fantasy land. You just kind of put the dolls down a little bit. You still got your Barbies, you still got your other, dolls, and you're not really you're not a woman at all.
No, you're a child. I saw on the campaign, I was looking at some of the tweets, and there was one young woman who wrote, when I was 14, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said the only 32-year-old men that I knew were teachers.
That's right.
I mean, and a 14-year-old looks at a 32-year-old like grandpa, like you're an old man.
And you are an old man.
To a 14-year-old, and you are a 14-year-old man. Let me ask you, because you do so much work, brilliant work, and thank you, with young African-American women, the Say Her Name campaign that you've been involved with, all of the studies that we've seen over the last few years. Why is it that Black women's voices are so often ignored when it comes to accusations of rape and sexual assault? And one of the reasons I was so intrigued by this Me at 14 campaign was that it was one of the few instances where you could flip through and see the pictures of many African-American women making sure that their voices are heard.
Well, it's the problem we saw with the Daniel Hosklau case and what we saw repeatedly, which is the concept that Black women are unrapeable. That Black women...
That we want it, or we're oversexed.
Look at the studies that said that people believe that we are mature men and women, as soon as we're 10. I mean, these are just the realities of a society that has, that bred Black women. That as soon as a Black woman showed any signs of having, reached any maturity whatsoever to bear children, she was bred. That's, we still have that with us. That mentality is ingrained in our society, and there's just a concept that we're not rapeable and that we're never innocent.
Well, and we still have a segment of society, Malik, that still does not want us to believe that Thomas Jefferson was a pedophile and raped Sally Hemings
at 14.
Absolutely, and it goes back to exactly what you said. It's a continuation of culture.
Yes.
As a father of two beautiful girls, I cannot understand why a man would even attempt to approach a 14-year-old. I'm trying to get my 15 and 16-year-old to actually clean a room, let
I'm with
alone
you on that,
navigate
yeah.
a relationship with a man. But I'm thankful to what's happening in technology all across social media, because it's creating platforms for these young women to actually see that there is a safe place and a platform by which they can speak out, not 40 years later, but right now.
And also, it's a movement of solidarity.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a movement of affirmation. It's saying, I got your back, sister. I know what you're going through. That's important. You know, the Black Women's Blueprint has done a study that they put out now at least 2 or 3 times that has repeatedly found that for Black girls, over 60% of Black women, Black girls between 16 and 32 are raped, are sexually abused by the time before they even become, you know, in their late 20s. It's a high number. And that means we got a community culture, even within our own community, that needs to be addressed. But it also means that externally, that reinforces this notion that Black women are available, that Black girls are available and accessible and vulnerable, everybody. Let's face that vulnerability, that there's no one talking about this. And I worry about it because I never hear it in the church. Nobody talks about, hey, let's keep your, men, be very honest about this. Let's stop it. Let's stop this culture. Let's stand up for our girls. Let's, not try to convert them into women. They're girls. Give Black girls the space to be girls.
And speaking of Black girls, very quickly, I just want to go back to our conversation about Spelman and Morehouse College.
Yes.
As I said, I have no reason to disbelieve anyone who's putting up these signs, but there are 2 sides to every story, and in fairness, I just want to share, because I received something important from a John Calhoun. He's a graduate of Morehouse College. I know him, I trust him, and he wanted to point out, in fairness to the accused at Morehouse, he told me, and I'm stating verbatim, no criminal charges have been filed, nor do any of the accused know who the people accusing are. Everyone is clueless. I am friends with one of the parents of the accused, and like other parents, they want that message to be clear. So I want to make that message clear. Again, I think when you go to those extremes, it shows that you're looking to be heard. I don't have any reason to disbelieve, but I think it's important to know no criminal charges have been filed. Barbara,
listen,
thank you. I got to go to the break. I want to thank you for being here. This is a very, very important issue. We got to stand up for Black women.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about Black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.